Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Journey Podcast. Today, I want to talk about a simple routine that you guys can have for yourself that's going to help you guys get more clients and grow your business. So, this came from a conversation that I have pretty often inside of PTBI. We have a lot of information in the course and a lot of it's applicable, but sometimes people ask, what are the top things that I should be doing every single day to grow my business? Now, what I'm going to share with you guys is not things that you need to do to maintain your business. That's a different conversation. I'm talking about things that you should be doing every single day to grow your business. I'm also going to share with you guys how to integrate that into your schedule so that you can have a daily routine that's going to guarantee that you see results in your business, you're going to sign clients, and that you're going to make money. So the top three priorities that you should be thinking about every single day, well, there's actually one thing that you should be doing every single day to grow your business. Everything else is a means to end to get to that one thing. That number one thing that you need to do every single day is take sales calls. Sales calls are going to be the number one thing that you need to do because one, it's going to grow your client roster. With growing client roster, your business is going to grow. You're going to be able to get more transformations and more results, and that's going to lead to more people seeing, your credibility and your authority. It's also going to lead to more referrals. The second thing is that you're going to get paid, right? The more clients you make, the more you get paid. And so the more sales calls you take, the more chances of getting paid that you have, right? And so sales calls is priority number one. And I always say this, sales calls is the opportunity to make money, right? And so if you have sales calls on the books, then you're giving yourself the opportunity to make money. Because if you're a fitness coach and you charge $300 per month and you have a 12-week program, you have the opportunity to make up to $1,000, rounded up, $1,000 on that one call. And so if you have a sales call and you wake up in the morning, you're having a sales call, you have the opportunity to make money that day. But if you wake up and there's no sales calls on the books, then I can guarantee that the chances of you making money that day is 0% because you're not even giving yourself the opportunity to make money. And so having as many sales calls on the books increases the chances of you making money that day. For me, a general rule of thumb is that if I do not have sales calls on the books when I wake up, that's a problem. I'm stressed and anxious because I know I'm not going to be making money that day. Whereas if I have sales calls on the books, I'm relaxed, I'm at peace because I know I'm giving myself the opportunity to make money. The more money that I make in my business, the more I'll be able to reinvest and grow the business. And so sales calls is priority number one when it comes to growing the business. The second thing is that if you do not have sales calls on the books, then what you need to be doing instead is doing lead generation, doing DM outreach, reaching out to potential clients, following up with old leads, asking for referrals. Those are methods of lead generation to help you put more calls on the books. And so if you wake up and you don't see that there's any calls on your calendar, then what you need to be doing that day is generating leads to put calls on the calendar. If I wake up and I don't see any calls on the calendar, then what I'm doing that day is I'm going to be reaching out to all of my leads as many people as possible to put calls on the calendar. Now, if you don't have any leads to work with, let's say that you don't have any people to follow, you don't have any, people to message, you don't really know where to go, then what you need to do instead is create content to generate leads. And so it goes in a tier system where priority number one is sales, priority number two is generating leads, and priority number three is creating content. What creating content will do is it will help you, create engagement on your page. It will help you grow your page. It will help you bring new audience members to your page. It will help bring, more attention to your page. And so you're going to be generating leads and generating interest by creating content and posting that online. So if you don't have any leads to nurture, then focus on creating content. And so let's say that you wake up and you don't have any sales calls in the books, and you don't have any leads to nurture. Let's say that you're just getting started. Well, your goal then is going to be creating a lot of content to start generating leads. The more content you create, the more leads you're going to generate. Then once you start generating leads, then you'll be able to take sales calls. You'll be able to book sales calls. So the more content you create, the more leads you generate, the more sales calls you're going to book, right? And then eventually you'll be able to snowball up until you're just taking sales calls all the time. And that's where you want to be. That's where you want to be to grow your business. So those are the top three things you should focus on a day-to-day basis. Now, what we're going to talk about next is a daily routine to hit those three priorities. So like I mentioned, those are the three things you need to do to grow your business. Now we're going to show you how to integrate that into your daily routine. So that way you can understand how to execute them consistently. So the first thing is that you need to understand that being creative takes a lot of brain power, whereas acting on, like minutia, like minimal tasks, right, take less brain power. You have to understand that, not all tasks are created equal. Some tasks require more energy and brain power than others do, whereas certain tasks don't require as much brain power and energy. And so what I find is that people don't necessarily prioritize the type of work in the day correctly. And by the end of the day, they have a bunch of work that takes a lot of brain power and takes a lot of thinking power, takes a lot of attention. And they're so tired and they're so tired and drained that they don't have the energy to do it, and they push it off to the next day. But then they never really understand how to change that cycle. And so it just keeps getting pushed off and pushed off and pushed off. So you got to understand is you need to prioritize the work that takes the most amount of brain power first and foremost in the day, and then organize your tasks in order from greatest to least in required brain power. So there's 3 types of work that you can do as a coach. Work number 1 is creative work. This is work like creating content, posting content, showing up in your stories, creating ideas, daily planning, goal setting, strategizing, right? Things that require a lot of thinking and a lot of space. Work number 2 is coaching work. So work that requires talking to people. Now, this doesn't require as much thinking power and creative power, but it does require you to be alert and paying attention. And so coaching work involves things like talking to leads, talking to your clients, having coaching calls, taking sales calls, those kinds of things. And then lastly is fulfillment work. Fulfillment work is stuff like, exercise programming, updating meal plans, getting back to emails. Typically, you could think of fulfillment work as that if you can put pajamas on and blast music and do it while you're vibing out at night, that's fulfillment work. And so what people tend to do is that they fill their calendar with a bunch of fulfillment work that's like low frequency tasks that they can do pretty easily. But by the end of the day, they're so drained that when it comes to being creative, they just don't have the brain power to do it. So what you want to do is you want to start with creative work first, then move to coaching work, and then move to fulfillment work on a day-to-day basis. So typically what we find is that anywhere between 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. is the best time to be creative when it comes to creating content. That's writing content, filming, coming up with ideas, setting goals, strategizing for the business. So in the morning, you should be creative and should be doing that work first. What's nice is that if you post your content first thing in the morning, you can go the entire day without stressing because you've already done your job by showing up that day. And the second thing is from 10 a.m. to say 4 p.m., you're going to be doing coaching work. So this is where you're generating leads, you're talking to clients, you're taking coaching calls, you're taking sales calls. And so if you don't have any sales calls on the books, then this is going to be the time frame in which you can generate leads on a consistent basis. If you do have sales calls on the books, then congratulations, take those sales calls and close them. Now, after 4 p.m. is when you can switch gears into like low frequency work. And then you can go to like fulfillment work. So like client programming, getting back to emails, those kinds of things. Once the sun goes down, you can kind of relax a little bit. It takes like less brain power. So if you do those things on a consistent basis, then you will grow your business because you'll be focusing on those top 3 priorities on a day-to-day basis. The other thing too, guys, is having a routine and schedule is going to help you guys stay consistent because it's going to treat your business like a job. One thing I want to say is that lead gen and sales it does come in waves. It ebbs and flows, right? And so if you're a surfer and you go out surfing one day and you go have the best surf session of your life, the waves are pumping and everything's good, and then you go out the next day, it's totally shit. You don't go home thinking, wow, that was terrible, I'm never going to surf again, surfing sucks. You're going to think, wow, that was a shitty day for surf, but I know tomorrow's going to be better. Right. And so it's the same thing with sales. And so if you can get out of the thought process of producing an outcome and just do your daily routine, understanding that some days are going to be really good, some days aren't going to be so good, then you can be consistent with the long term. And that's really what you're going to need to grow your business. So hope that lesson was helpful for you guys. Hope you guys took some value from it, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.